is 6 o'clock, so we'll get started. First of all, welcome everyone tonight. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. It's not to be considered a public meeting. There is a time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in Agenda Item 3. If you haven't gotten one already and you wish to speak during public participation, I think Valerie has some forms.
They're back at the table.
The forms are back in the table. So Valerie, would you please call the roll?
Mr. DeGroat? Mrs. Iser?
Here.
Mr. Rudd?
Here.
Mr. Skidmore?
Here.
Dr. Smith? Mr. Kinder?
Here. Stand together for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Numeral item 3A, recognition of visitors and communications. We have a presentation of accommodations. Representative Tom Young. Over to you.
Well, it's great to be here tonight. Last year I had the opportunity, this is the most fun thing I get to do because Columbus, I call it the Nightmare on High Street. So, but Valley View had a great year last year, and this is, I think, my third or fourth visit in the cycle. And so I'm here tonight to honor the girls' tennis team and the men's football team and an educator as well. So Ms. Holbrook, would you come up here please with your team? It's pretty exciting because when I came and we cut the ribbons for the groundbreaking, it was pretty extraordinary actually, that to be able to see that whole plan and to see what this community has done with your tax dollars to build a facility that will accommodate this district for years to come. So I'm happy to be a part of it. On behalf of the members of the House of Representatives of the 134th General Assembly of Ohio, we're pleased to pay tribute to the Valley View High School girls tennis team on winning the 2022 Southwestern Buckeye League West Division Championship crown. The talented members of the Valley View High School girls tennis team are indeed to be heartily commended, for they have decisively earned this year's Southwestern Buckeye League West Division title. This victory reflects an outstanding collective effort by a gifted group of athletes, and without exception, they have prepared conscientiously in pursuit of their goals. Clearly, this demanding regimen has paid handsome dividends. The members of the Valley View High School girls tennis team have epitomized the power, poise, and precision that befit true champions. Despite sometimes grueling pressure, they have consistently maintained their composure and morale, exhibiting strength, speed, stamina, and agility in every challenging encounter. Time and again, they have risen to the occasion, amply demonstrating their unflagging determination, and their impressive maturity and finesse have earned them this widespread respect, even among their most formidable rivals. Thus, it is with great pride that we applaud Valley View High School girls tennis team on its recent accomplishment and salute all of its members as fantastic Ohioans. And we have, it's a team effort, right, always, but we have three individuals who stood out this year. The 2022 Southwest Buckeye League West Division Championship in girls third singles tennis, Izzy Orozco, Sydney Orozco. There you go, Sydney. And then the Southwest Buckeye League West Division Championship in girls second doubles, Harley Goins. and winning the Southwest Buckeye League West Division Championship in girls second doubles tennis, Petra Olson.
You guys can angle this way, please. Thank you very much.
You might want to scooch in a little bit here and turn your awards around. Got it? Can I get in there?
Everybody ready? Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, the other thing is that Valley View, I don't know, they're not known very well for football, I don't think, are they? So, great year this year. I followed you guys. It was really cool. The team, you want to come on up? If anybody's here? Big in person too. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. You had a great year. Bless your hearts. On behalf of the House of Representatives of the 134th General Assembly of Ohio, we are pleased to recognize the Valley View High School football team as the 2022 Southwestern Buckeye League East champions and Division 5 Region 20 champion. Known for their drive and focus, the members of the Valley View High School football team have developed into an efficient group of highly skilled athletes whose talents is equaled only by their commendable display of teamwork. Indeed, this year's Southwestern Buckeye League East Division champion and Division 5 Region 20 championship crown reflects the indomitable ambition of every player, and clearly they have made their families, their fans, and their community very proud. All of those associated with the Valley View High School football program can share in the joy of these triumphs, and we heartily applaud the respectable coaching of Matt King and his assistants, as well as the fine support of the many people devoted to this team. The outstanding efforts throughout the 2022 season that culminated to this year's Southwestern Buckeye League East Division and Division 5 Region 20 Championship will be forever memorable, and this success is distinguished honor for the Spartans. Thus, it is utmost satisfaction that we praise the Valley View High School football team on its 2022 season and look with optimism to the ongoing growth of the program. Well, we got some players here too that stood out this year. Jace Bromagan. Okay, there you go. Yeah, all Ohio Division 5 first team offense in football. All Ohio Division 5 first team defensive honors in football, Austin Stidman. Okay. All Ohio Division 5 first team defensive honors in football, Gavin DeGroat. All Ohio Division 5 first team defensive honors, Jake Clark. Why don't you get in the middle of that? Great job. Seriously.
Oh yeah, I got it, sorry. I did.
Those are the sports. The timing of, this is a resolution, and the timing of a resolution is always hurried. when you receive a resolution, it goes into the history books of Ohio. And you have a teacher who was acknowledged as a leader in Ohio. And unfortunately, we weren't able to work out any schedules to get her here. And so I want to acknowledge her tonight. Jill Weaver, on the 2022 ACE.
She's here.
I know. I know she's here. You want to come on up? I'm sorry.
I don't care.
Let's do it. I'm sorry. Thank you for bringing that up.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
The 2022 A. Scott Crossfeld Aerospace Educator of the Year. In our region, I was meeting with the Dayton Development Coalition today in Jobs, Ohio, and we are really pushing for our region to be the aerospace center of the Midwest. And it's very, very critical when we're not only looking at STEM, but the importance of what you do and what you did is paramount to what we're trying to achieve. So, whereas the members of the House of Representatives of the 134th General Assembly of Ohio are pleased to congratulate Jill Weaver on being named the 2022 A. Scott Crossfeld Aerospace Educator of the Year by the National Aviation Hall of Fame. And whereas the A. Scott Crossfeld Aerospace Educator of the Year Award commends teachers for exemplary use of aerospace in their classroom curricula. And selection for this prestigious distinction is an honor of which Jill Weaver can be justly proud, for she has been recognized for her exceptional skill, commitment, and professionalism. A teacher at the Valley View Junior High School, she has promoted science, technology, engineering, and math objectives in Valley View local schools, and she has been accorded several grants to finance STEM programs, including robotics, drones, and 3D printers. Through her decisive leadership, she has certainly distinguished herself as a conscientious and hardworking Ohioan. And whereas, over the years, Jill Weaver has worked diligently to channel the natural energy and curiosity of young people into meaningful inquiry, thereby helping them to gain a better understanding of the complex world around them. By presenting lessons in an interesting and comprehensible manner, she has consistently inspired her students to excel and has made many significant contributions to improving the quality of life in our society. And whereas, throughout her career in the field of education, Jill Weaver has supported countless students in their scholastic endeavors and have helped to nurture within them a desire for academic excellence. Willingly giving her time, energy, and abilities far beyond what was required and expected, she has earned the respect and gratitude of her colleagues, her community, and most importantly, her students for her genuine love of teaching, and she is truly deserving of high praise. Therefore, it be resolved that we, the members of the House of Representatives of the 134th General Assembly of Ohio, in adopting this resolution, applaud Jill Weaver on a recent accolade and salute her as one of Ohio's finest educators. Normally, I don't take a lot of time to read these, but it's really important to be recognized. And when students work hard, when teachers work hard, and athletes work hard as a group, we really appreciate it in Columbus.
Tom.
Thanks for having me.
I know a lot of you didn't come here to listen to us take care of business tonight, so we're going to take a 5-minute recess so that those of you who want to sneak out the back can do it, and then we'll resume West soon?
This is Friday.
Friday.
I didn't check it out. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Do you want to set up like court from there?
We're glad you're here. Especially if it's going to be a good session.
Yeah. Thank you.
So what Jason would say about this. It's great technology.
We're ready when you are. Yeah. If you're ready, we're ready. All right, moving down our agenda, Roman numeral item 3B, literacy update, Rebecca Pitcher and Nicole Thomas.
All right, so good evening. Thank you for taking the time to let us speak tonight. We just wanted to give you an update on the third grade reading guarantee requirements and then our reading improvement plan that we're going to present to you tonight. With me tonight are Mrs. Schmidt, the primary intermediate principal, and we have Christy Stefano and Rebecca Pitcher, who are our part-time literacy coaches. So just a quick overview of the third grade reading guarantee. That is something that's been in effect since about 2013. The state came out with this program or these requirements to make sure that all students were able to read on grade level by grade 3. And a lot of times people will think that this just affects grade 3. It actually affects grades 2 or K all the way up to 3. There's just different requirements at different grade levels. So the purpose behind the third grade reading guarantee was to make sure that students that are behind in reading are identified and provided intervention to make sure that they continue to stay at or as close to grade level as possible. Students are identified at each grade level by our NWBA MAP assessment, and if they are not performing as they should, they are put on a reading improvement plan or a RIM, and then provided intervention throughout the school year and monitored closely. So in third grade though, and the stakes get a little bit higher, students are not able to be promoted to fourth grade if they do not meet the promotion score on the Ohio State test. The promotion score on the Ohio State test this year is 685 or 47 on the subscore, the reading subscore. If they don't meet those promotion scores, they also have a chance to get a 197 on the NWBA MAP vendor assessment that we give as benchmarking throughout the year. So we're continuing to provide what we can to support students in grades K to 3 to avoid retention altogether. We had some alternative promotion criteria during the pandemic years just because there was so much that was interrupted during those years, and we were able to promote all students to the fourth grade. So we are back to the previous standards and requirements. So we have to retain students in reading if they do not meet those scores on the Ohio State test or the vendor assessment. Unless House Bill 497 passes, it passed the House in October of 2022, but is still currently sitting in the Ohio Senate Committee. So we're moving forward as is. And then tonight, we're going to present you the Valley View Reading Improvement Plan. So students are required to create and get board approval on a reading improvement plan if fewer than 80% of the third graders were not proficient on the spring Ohio State test. And last year, we were 65% in the spring of 2022. So we want to continue to increase the amount of students that are proficient. There is a little bit, there's a lot of confusion because there's a difference between the promotion score and the proficiency score. So promotion is 685 and proficient is 700. So of course, we want all students to be proficient, and that's what we're working toward, but we're also very mindful of that 685 score. So you have in front of you our reading improvement plan, and at this time I'll turn it over to Mrs. Schmidt, who's going to give you a little bit more details about what's in our plan.
So we have two goals. Our first goal is to have 80% of our students hit proficiency, and then our second goal is to increase the percentage of the students who hit that proficiency by 5% each year. So make sure that we are moving towards that goal. In an effort to monitor if our students are moving towards proficiency, all of our students 3 times a year are given a benchmark. So right now we give NWEA MAP, and we use that data during TBTs to look at student growth or to look at areas that are really showing some deficits that we need to focus on in the classroom. Additionally, this year we have started giving the readiness assessment. So in February, our teachers in my buildings, grades 3 to 6, are all giving the ELA readiness assessment. And what that does is it aligns directly to the Ohio State test. So we can see in February how many of our students are hitting the mark, how many of our students are deficient in certain areas, so that we can really have one last push to hopefully get that 80% to show proficiency. So we started looking at some action steps that we could take, some that we've already implemented, some that are going to start to be implemented. But the first is that teachers are going to be completing professional development that directly aligns with the new dyslexia laws that have been put in place. We have also started shifting from a balanced literacy approach to a structured literacy approach. So we're really working on phonics, phonemic awareness, vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension, very intentionally teaching those to our students. We have a literacy committee that we meet with pretty regularly, and we talk about this plan and what we're seeing across the building. We have resources that have been allocated to our literacy coaches, and I'm going to have them talk in just a couple of minutes about what they do, but I'm just going to highlight they are doing a phenomenal job of meeting with some of our brand new teachers to really coach them up and help them hone in on some of their literacy, their skills in teaching literacy. We, in TBTs, so once a month, we have TBT meetings twice a month. Once a month, those are facilitated. And so this year, we are alternating each month between focusing on math, because we know we need to focus on math too, and focusing on language arts. And so during that time, we're looking at data. We're talking about research-based strategies that we are using in the classroom. We have MTSS teams that meet on a very regular basis, especially in the primary building, to really try to provide those early interventions so that we are not finding students in the 3rd grade that are struggling and we are scrambling to figure out how we're going to get them over that hump of that 685 score. Additionally, students in grades K to 3 can be recommended by their teachers to attend summer school. So we did that last year. Last year was the 2nd year we did that, right? And had a lot of positive feedback from that. All right, I'm going to turn it over to our coaches.
Okay, thank you for having us. This is Christy Stefano. I'm Rebecca Pitcher. I was here for, this is my 25th year working for Valley View. I was counting down. Taught you, taught your son, taught your son, taught your daughter, taught your grandson. I don't know about you. But anyway, I have our covered. So between us, we've had a lot of your children. I'm currently working with Montgomery County ESC. I'm contracted back with Valley View 3 days a week and working with Christy. And we work together to coach teachers on our new phonics program. It's called Foundations. We're working on helping them teach explicitly using evidence-based practices. One of the biggest things that we've been working on this year is being in compliance with the dyslexia laws. We're trying to get ahead of the game instead of waiting until next year when a lot of those things are due. So we're working on a district literacy plan, family parent communication for dyslexia screeners, and all the things that are dyslexia that you would ever imagine and more. That is what we are currently working on. There's an extensive list of everything that we're doing, but primarily most importantly, we're working with teachers in the classroom, working with students, and all things dyslexia. Do you have any questions for us?
Can you talk a little bit about how kids who may fall under our special ed umbrella, how they impact our scores or not at all, or how are those factored in when we're taking state tests?
The third grade test. So those are factored in just like any other student would be factored in.
Okay.
Some of our students can be exempt if they're on an IEP from those third grade reading guarantee requirements, but the vast majority are not exempt from that.
And when do you expect to have this school? You said February, you were going to have some preliminary data
Yep,
available.
so those, we have asked all teachers have those tests for ELA completed next week. And so that first TBT in March, we will use that time to really look at those scores and start figuring out what our next steps are. Good?
Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
Next, we have Patrick McKee and Brian Lemke presenting on Edgenuity.
Thank you guys. Thank you for your time. Thank you everyone for attending. Mr. Lemke and I, and I'm going to say thank you to him as well as Mrs. Thomas for just all their help with this. We contracted with a program this year called Edgenuity, and we have 15 seats. We wanted to kind of give it a trial in 3 different aspects. So one aspect we're using it for is credit recovery to ensure that all of our kids can stay on track towards graduation requirements. Another aspect is what we're calling curriculum expansion. We get a lot of students who get into their junior, senior year, and they've got 20 credits of the 22 they need going into their senior year, and they want some of those other options to take. So we're allowing those kids. Right now we have some kids taking, whether that's criminology, we have a couple kids in that class. We have a couple students taking forensics. We have a student taking a computer business class. So trying to give them those opportunities to kind of help them for what's after high school. And then the third aspect we've been messing around with is a digital academy. I think one thing we've learned from the pandemic is that just works better for some people, as simple as that. So we have it this year. We've gotten some feedback from some of our students, and just to kind of let you know a few things of what our kids are saying. Our digital academy student right now, we have one student, and she loves it. She likes the idea that she can work on one class at a time. So what she did is she did all of one class and got 100% of it complete, and now she's going to start chipping away at the next one. And it just allows her to kind of have that smaller focus rather than trying to balance 6 classes at a time and keep up. We have a student who's taken AP courses, a couple AP AP language and composition courses that we don't offer at Valley View. And when this student was talking to a college, USC actually out in California, she took CCP English as a junior. So then her senior year, she didn't really have any English options rather than go back to English 12. So decided to take these classes, and USC thought that was great. They wanted her to take classes in her language, in English, the fact that she was going into journalism. So they thought it was great that she was still exploring that. Some feedback we are getting, and some of it's negative, kids don't like the fact that maybe there's not that teacher that they can always go to. So that is a situation that we're trying to continue to work towards. But some of the benefits we're really excited about for Valley View students, next year we're hoping to purchase an unlimited, where we can have an endless amount of kids taking these courses, obviously with approval. They would have to have my approval to do so if we feel it's best for that kid. But some of the benefits we think for kids is we have a packet over here it will offer 120 additional courses for our students. So we'll have all these career choices that we don't have right now, whether that's business, whether that's anything in the healthcare, there's education, there's all these different courses that we just simply don't offer our students, so we're excited about that. It will then serve as the platform for our digital academy as we begin to get that up and running, and then it will continue to serve for our credit recovery and even our summer school option this summer. Did I miss anything? No. Okay. Any questions about Ingenuity, kind of the path that we're going at the high school?
Have you had any trouble, well, this is just the piloting of that program, but do you know of any other districts or talked to any districts that have had trouble? You mentioned USC being impressed by, that opportunity, but with transferring credits in, or them being on their transcripts, or colleges and admissions having any issues with those transcripts?
We have not seen any of that yet. It would look just like on a transcript. It'll say Ingenuity, and then it'll say whatever course they're in, so it'll look just like a high school course. But with us being new, we have not had a chance to really see what that looks like yet.
Sure. So are there any other districts that are around us that are doing something like this, or is this?
Yes, this is actually something that the last district I was at, they started to kind of get into, and when I got here, I just saw that it could be really, really a good aspect for our kids, a good experience, especially into that curriculum expansion piece. They're experiencing good things with it. They're just using it for credit recovery right now. But I have talked to some other schools who are doing some of the digital academies, so they might not be using Ingenuity, but they're using some type of online platform.
Thank you. No, I think it's great to be able to expand our curriculum a little bit. That's always been so limiting with a school district our size to compete with other kids.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thank you for your time.
Thanks, sir. Number 3D, Valley View Performing Arts Committee updates.
Hello, I'm Melissa Paul. I'm a member of the UPAC Committee. We want to thank you, first of all, board members and Superintendent Shawlin, for allowing us to update you on our progress. This month, we were able to meet with 2 community members who were willing to lead us in their expertise in establishing our 501c3 status and with making architectural and design decisions. We would like to thank Brett Byerly and Jerry Volbus for their willingness to inform and support our mission. We will also be meeting with Brandy McFall of Oakwood. She was committee chair of Oakwood's Flourish campaign, which raised $8.8 million for a performance arts wing onto Oakwood High School. We have also secured our first funds for the donation from the Germantown Dance Studio. Miranda Rousey will donate 20% of the May recital proceeds. We would like to publicly thank Miranda and her studio for this generous donation. We will begin our fundraising campaign to first pay for a feasibility study. The study will give us the assurance that the Valley View community is supportive and financially willing to fund this project. We appreciate your continued support of our passion to provide for the performing arts in this district. I would like to share a little bit about my story and why I joined the CPAC committee. I've been a music educator for 34 years, 23 of them here at Valley View. When I started, we had 5 full-time music teachers for the entire district. We are now down to 2.5. I started teaching K-5 at Germantown Elementary. I saw my students twice a week for an average of 70 times in a year. I developed programs for many grade levels throughout the year. 2nd grade did a Christmas program, 3rd grade learned to play the dulcimer, 4th grade played the recorders, sorry about that, and the 5th grade always performed a spring musical before heading off to junior high. On top of that, I invited musicians from the Dayton Philharmonic to perform for our students at a talent show for the whole school. Where did these performances take place? In our auditorium. When the reconfiguration happened, I chose to teach the intermediate. We went to an ABC schedule, which meant I only saw my kids 60 times a year. I went the first year not doing a Christmas program. The elementary teacher still did one with her students. And I wanted to do something for Christmas the next year, so I had my 5th grade perform at Christmas. Since I had 150 students, I had to do 2 performances in one night. 4th grade still in recorder, and again, they needed 2 performances. I missed having a spring musical, so I started doing an enrichment program after school, first funded by our PTO. And in this thing, they invited these students from 3rd through 6th grade to practice after school when they were performing in May, all of these in the auditorium. Then came COVID, and everything stopped. The performances for 3 years for me. I know these kids enjoyed playing, singing, and acting, so I tried to bring it back again. Then last spring, we lost the elementary music teacher position. Since the plans for the new building only include 1 music position, they chose not to hire a replacement. When we get to the new building, I and the other special teachers will see our students 30 times in 1 year, an entire year. Can you imagine the effect that's going to have on our students? When asked my opinion, I was really glad that Lindsay came to me and asked me, she goes, what do you think? And I said, I didn't like it that they would have music for 2 years. And I asked, could I do a half year in each building? Again, this meant I would have 30 lessons with the intermediate students before switching to the elementary and primary where I'm in right now. When I thought of another year without a Christmas program, it made me sad. I started another after-school group for 4th, 5th, and 6th grade to perform a Christmas program. I had 40 kids sign up and perform in this program. They were all so excited to do this. After the performance, I had many parents come up to me and tell me how much their children enjoyed this program and thank me for doing this for them. Before the performance, I explained that there would be no place at the new facility for this type of performance, and I wasn't sure what the future held for these types of programs. I had a few people come up to me after the performance and said they were unaware of this information and asked about the Valley View Performing Arts Committee and what they could do. This auditorium is used for more than my programs. The junior high uses it, the high school uses it in the fall and the spring. The PTO uses it for their Santa shop, and if you haven't been there, it's a big to-do if you watch what they do. Both primary and intermediate schools use it for assemblies. Students use it throughout the day for small group testing and other activities. How can something that is used by so many people not be thought of as important in any building? I would like to close by saying this is why I want to be a part of this committee. Studies have shown that performing arts are an important part of a child's education. It builds communication, confidence, and friendships for many who can't find their place in the school. This may be the only thing that keeps them coming to school. If you saw the picture of the Christmas concert with the 5th through 12th grade bands and choirs, the gym was full of performers, and the stands were filled to capacity with many standing in the halls watching. This doesn't show you the importance of the arts. I don't know what would. We appreciate the support that the board has given us so far, allowing us to use some of the land to build something, and we hope that we can get financial support if there are any funds available. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Public participation, we didn't have anybody turn in, but I know, Eric, you have a building update for us, I think?
Yeah, just, I don't have a lot of information. It's very exciting what's going on. I apologize, I'm not being rude. I have a sty on my eye. I can't take sunglasses off.
It's a good look.
So we did get our fire suppression tank almost completed over the last 2 weeks. This thing is so massive that the bottom alone took 9 cement trucks to pour in. That's a lot of concrete. 86 yards is what it took just to pour the bottom in. So that was pretty neat to watch. They've started doing some minor footer work. Looking forward to getting that really escalated here in the near future. And then we'll have temporary power by the end of the week, supposedly. They haven't began on it, but we're waiting on AES to show up to finalize that. That's really what I got for tonight. Thank you.
Roman numeral 4, approval of minutes for the organizational meeting of January 9th, 2023, and the regular board meeting of January 9th, 2023. Can we approve those?
Yes.
So we just got a chance to look at them. Someone make a motion to approve the minutes both together?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Valerie, would you call the roll?
Yes. Mrs. Iser?
Yes.
Mr. Rudd?
Yes.
Mr. Skidmore?
Yes. Roman numeral 5, building project update, Dan Shaw and John Payne to talk about certificate of participation agreement.
Thank you very much for having us tonight. Appreciate it. As I think you all know, on Wednesday, we go to finish the financing for the project. And John Payne is here with me this evening. He's going to give you kind of an update on where we think that will go and hope where we'll finish. But before he does, I just want to say thanks to Valerie and to the district. It's been, over the last few months, it's been a good time working with you, seeing that project come together. And Valerie's been diligently crunching numbers and working with us on the different scenarios to make sure that we're lining up with the district's cash flows and where you're headed. So with that, I'll hand it off to John, and I'll pass these out so that you have them.
Good evening. It's good to see everybody again. I did say I'd be here.
So we're at the point now where in a couple of days, there'll be basically what we call bond pricing, but it's a certificate of use purchase certificate pricing. Basically means that the underwriter, which is the company by the name of Stifel, will go out to investors around the country and ask them to show their interest in purchasing participation certificates in this stream of loan payments, principal and interest. Just a tax exempt politician, like you see every day. The market right now, big picture, is mixed. Rates continue to be elevated, particularly in the first 1 through 5 to 7 years, as the Federal Reserve continues to indicate it's going to push the reserve rate up, and basically that puts a lot of pressure on prices for bonds in those early years. So we're seeing rates higher for a 2-year loan than we are for a 30-year. So it's called an inverted yield. It makes things, that is an indication of some volatility and some insecurity. People aren't really sure in the investor world where things are going. They don't know whether to buy securities now. And if they do decide they want to buy securities now, they don't know what the right rate should be. It's crazy. That's not a banking term. That's what it is right now. So going into this loan, $7 million, it is you know, it's a decent sized loan in the world of people that buy tax-exempt securities. It's small. So the underwriter has to work hard to get attention from the folks that really want to lend that kind of money. And they're out there doing that. There is not as much attention on longer loans than there are shorter loans, just because people aren't sure they want to lock in today because they don't know what rates are going. It's like if you're getting a mortgage, do I lock in a mortgage rate today? Because gosh, I think rates might come down, or I think they might go, you know, for the investor, it's like, do I want to lock in now? I think rates might go up. Yeah, so it is unusual. We haven't seen this kind of market probably in 15 years, and that's what we're dealing with, a volatile situation. The underwriter is confident that Wednesday will be a good day, and that's important because they're very highly respected and do a lot of business in this type of bond. What you have in front of you is, when I was here last time, we talked about, that's the interesting thing about school districts borrowing money in Ohio. You can set the patterns, not like a mortgage, where the payments are the same all the time. You really can set it how you want it. And so this brings into discussion the whole world of planning, financial planning, which I know Valerie and Dan and others have been working on the plan to sort of explore what are some of the options for focusing not so much on interest rate, because it is what it is once the securities are sold, but on what would be your objectives with respect to permanent improvement loans. Okay, inside village permanent improvement loans. That's money that I naturally assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think Dan would have already done this, but I'll ask it anyway. I naturally assume is the heart of your ongoing maintenance and improvements to buildings that you have, that exist. So this will include the new building, this will include this building, this will include your other buildings that you operate in the district. You're going to have to maintain them just like you do now. We put together some options. Really, the overriding, well, the only one that's unusual is that we assume that when you get your new facility up and running, that some of the routine maintenance will fall off for a while. That you can pay heavily towards the new certificates, the new bonds, for 4 or 5 years, and then start putting more back into your maintenance beyond. Is that a fair assumption? Is there any questions about that assumption?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of I had a question as far as, we can apply or go as aggressively towards these payments as we need to. So say we find a buyer for Farmersville, we find a buyer for Germantown, we no longer have to incur those upkeep and maintenance costs of both, or we abate and demolish, either or. But then we can apply whatever that savings is, correct, towards this payment.
Yes.
Which would, I think we would realize, or we're hoping to realize within the next 1 to 5 years. Right, I mean, we're trying to offload those.
Yeah, yes. With respect to this kind of financing, cash is cash. You get money for your building, it replaces what you're using out of PI for payment. That's basically how you do it.
And what, does anybody, I don't mean to do this to you. I know this is like rule 1, don't ever do this to a treasurer. But do we know off the top of our head, just roundabout, like what, if we're, the upkeep and maintenance, I know it's going to be a little bit different because we're occupying those buildings, but what are we paying to maintain our current facility?
Our current facilities is a little bit different because we have made some very strategic decisions regarding the Germantown campus and the Farmersville campus because of our plans for the future.
Yeah.
Lately, the last couple of years, it's been about $500,000. What we do plan on and what we've gotten from information that we've gotten from the state to maintain our new building, K through 12 building, we should plan on about $800,000 per year. But that, they also kind of tentatively said, yeah, probably the first couple of years, not so much. Then maybe a little bit more, year 3 and 4, 5, plan on the $800,000. So that's how I baked that into our permanent improvement forecast, that maintenance schedule.
Having said all that, and do you want to jump in?
Just Ballard's had us look at the range too, so as we, if we do get rid of the buildings, what does that do with the PI versus keeping the buildings? So we've kind of looked at that spread to know that however this goes, we've got the funds to cover.
And we are thinking that once the new project is done, because of tax valuations and the way the inside money works, that there's going to be 1.345 million.
Yes.
So when you're looking at these numbers as far as payments, yeah, just pick 1.3 or 4, that'd be right in that range. When you're looking at these payments for this borrowing, the difference would be what's going into your, and that gets you, Valerie, after a few years to where you want to be with the aid.
Yes.
Okay.
What we've also factored into our plan is projects that Mr. DePew knows that we're going to have to do. I can make a survey of that and make that into the plan as well.
So what we did here was to illustrate, and I'm not afraid to give an opinion, but I'll give you some caveats when I get there. Right now, I'm not 100% comfortable with 30-year loan because of how crazy the market is. Now, the underwriter hasn't told me that they're not crazy about it. This is John Payne, 40 years and something inside of it. Okay. So we wanted to look at what a 25-year option would be, but we also then wanted to look at that from the standpoint of, okay, the first 4 years we're going to make this near $700,000 because you're not going to need anything for the new building. Then we're going to start dropping it down. It drops down about 20. Well, the first year it drops down significantly, about 150, and then it drops down about 20,000 a year. So every year you're putting more money into your maintenance fee. Because of the first 5 years, or first 4 years on the schedule at 700,000, or they're close, you get to pay this off then. If we stop at 250,000, you get to pay this off in 25 years versus 30. Okay. Now, on its face, that saves a lot of money over the long run. I find that to be secondary to the point because of the math of today's dollar's worth more than tomorrow's dollar. I'm looking at these as break-even things. Well, there's a little bit of difference. And just to put things in perspective for you, we're talking about anywhere from 4.25% all in expenses and everything to 4.50. So it's not like we're talking 6, 7, 8%. This one on the third, the one in green, is shorter, I think going to have better reception with investors. Not sure about that, but that's what I'm thinking. It does start at close to 700 and then drop down, as you can see. You have to be comfortable with that schedule. The only downside of this schedule to me is, are there going to be any surprises where you need to borrow more? If there are going to be near-term surprises, meaning like in the next 5 to 7 years, then you probably want to look at maybe the second, the one in gold, which gives you more capacity for borrowing if there's a surprise.
Is this just a typo in the first period of the last column, or is that really the payment and then it jumps and then it reduces?
No, that's
622 and then it goes to 600.
It doesn't look like it should be that way, does it? Let me see the debt schedule.
I mean, it's not a huge difference. I was just curious.
It may very well be. I didn't pick up on that. I'll tell you here in just a second. It seems like it ought to be the same. It's 697, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Bear with me just a second. And these, of course, are not set, so you know.
Sure. When do you anticipate, if you don't mind me asking a couple questions when you're looking, or I can talk with Dan, when do we anticipate the Fed's raising the rate if they're going to? I mean, I know that nobody has a magic 8 ball, but it could be before Wednesday, or could it be?
No, they just did.
They did just.
They raised it just the way they said, and remember, these are short-term rates, so the implications for longer-term rates are difficult no, it's 622, and the reason for that's some kind of structuring phenomena that has to do with premium on the bond and that sort of thing, but we can get that leveled out.
That is a similar situation we had on the last bonds that we issued.
Yeah.
The first payment was just a smidge lower than.
We can get that straightened out. Makes sense, it would make sense to make it 697, if those are the numbers.
I mean, we can stick with that.
Yeah. So I want to go back to that point, because I think it's an important point. If you think, I know you can't anticipate things like a major structural issue comes along you don't know about, but do you have any discussions or plans about maybe needing another $2 million in this program that you would have to borrow for, in which case we would go to a more level amount? I wanted to ask that question for you.
Okay, you're asking. I was going to say, is that a question or is that a statement?
It's a question because I don't want you to get locked into the higher payments for the first, 15 years, basically.
We have not had any discussions. There's been nothing that has come up that would indicate that we would have those things, even as a contingency.
And your contingency guide plan still calls for flat valuation, doesn't it? Did you increase it a little bit?
It's a very conservative
So there would be some
collection
from
forecast.
valuation increases.
So I'm not looking at the first column, the level payments. I don't like it. If you like it, tell me. I don't. I'm looking at the last two. When I look at the middle one, the only difference being that if you get out to year 5 and there is an issue where you need to borrow, you have more capacity.
If we were to choose the second one, can we pay it early?
So,
Can we pay more?
This,
If there's no,
that's a great question. I have two answers to this. Tell me if this registers with you. One is these bonds won't be callable away from investors for 10 years. Maybe not, something like that. So if you do get extra money and you want to pay them off early, there's really no feasible way to do that.
Until year 9 or 10.
For the most part, and this is for the most part. These things can change in the world of bonds real fast, but right now that's the fact. So you would be holding on to that. But the other point is if you get extra money, then assuming you're going to use it for the same person, same purpose as PI, money's money. So you just basically lower the stress of your payment. Does that make sense?
I wasn't really talking about paying it off that fast. I was just asking if in years 7, 8, 9, we could pay $500,000 instead of $355 if we had the money.
You can, but you can't, because you can't take bonds away. So you have to figure out a way to put it aside before the payment. So if you just, want to make your appropriations and say, we're just going to appropriate more to the balance, and then in year 9.5, we're going to pay off, we're going to call some bonds and pay them off. That's how you would do that.
You got to stop in the meter on that.
But obviously paying a little bit more, a couple million more in interest with options 1 and 2.
Yeah, that is true, and again, for me, that's like number 10 on the list of things to look at, because I'm sure you would agree, a dollar paid 20 years from now is not worth nearly as much as a dollar paid today, so these numbers on total interest total payments can be pretty misleading from a present value standpoint, a financial calculation standpoint. But yes, to answer your question, yes.
So do I hear you potentially leaning towards more of option 2?
I think either one of them is good. My issue with what I would go into the sale price with, and Dan and I talked about this, would be, unless you tell me you really want more flexibility for financing much higher project costs, but you don't have the answer to. So I would be leaning more towards 3, because you have the cash flow right now to do it. And it really is nice the way it throws money off into the PI really fast. But I also like to, unless I get in the market and find out they don't like 30-year bonds. So I know this sounds really crazy. It doesn't have to be 25 years or 30 years. It could be 27, right? If you can give us some flexibility going into the sale to look at the market and say, this runs out a lot better in 23 years or 27 years. And I know that puts a lot on our plate to do this, but trust us to say, this is going to meet the parameters we heard from the board, and this reacts to the market today. This is the trick about doing these kind of bonds. We need to be reactive on those. So if you have general parameters, I mean, I think everybody kind of likes the idea of stepping down the payments and picking up more maintenance money every year from the PI. You agree with that?
I just think this is a big hypothetical, and I'm not throwing this out here to make any false promises. But, we have a group here that continues to talk with us and update us, and, even tonight say, well, it would be great if the school district, when we built this Performing Arts Center, could financially help us, right? And so when again, we have not had any discussions about this, but hypothetically, if we wanted to, as a district, and I may not be here, or some of us may not be here, but if the next Board of Education wanted to financially support a Performing Arts Center, would you say that then item 2, to be able to borrow money, would be our best option?
I would.
Okay. Thank you.
It's a great idea.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. By the way, we're selling these bonds in 2 days, so you need to get back to us tomorrow.
No hurry.
Are there any other questions like that? Because this is not an exact science. Sure. I think I understand the general parameters, but
we appreciate your experience and your understanding of the plan.
Thank you very much.
Roman numeral 6A, under financial reports request, recommend the board approve the financial statements for the month ending January 31st, 2023. Do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Would you call the roll?
Sure. Mrs. Isaac?
Yes.
Mr. Rudd?
Yes.
Mr. Skidmore?
Yes.
Roman numeral 6B, recommend the board approve a donation from the Valley View Athletic Boosters to the Valley View Schools for the irrigation system on the practice fields in the amount of $10,000. we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second, just real quick, which practice fields? It doesn't matter.
Oh,
Just
the one here,
The new ones
one
or
of
the,
the-
okay, not the one up on the back.
One we tore off on one end,
Yeah,
and then move it to the other end.
okay. Thank you.
Any discussion? Other than thank you to the athletic boosters. Valerie, would you call the roll?
Yes, Mrs. Iser?
Yes.
Mr. Rudd?
Yes.
Mr. Skidmore?
Yes.
Roman numeral 7A, new business personnel. Someone make a motion that we approve the personnel action as recommended, attachment number 3.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Valerie, would you call the roll?
Yes. Mrs. Iser?
Yes.
Mr. Rudd?
Yes.
Mr. Skidmore?
Yes.
Roman numeral 7B, recommend the board approve memorandum of understanding between the Valley View Local School District Board of Education and the Valley View Teachers Association. You've had a chance to look at the board copies. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Valerie, would you call the roll?
Mrs. Iser?
Yes.
Mr. Rudd?
Yes.
Mr. Skidmore?
Yes.
Roman numeral 7C, recommend the board approve the high school curriculum for the 2023-2024 school year. Do we have a motion on that?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second. That's fine.
Good sir.
You guys are going to have your names all through these minutes. Any discussion? Valerie, would you call the roll?
Mrs. Iser?
Yes.
Mr. Rudd?
Yes.
Mr. Skidmore?
Yes.
Roman numeral 7E, recommend the board approve continued membership in the Ohio High School Athletic Association for 2023-2024. Did I miss something? Holy smokes, I skipped it. Roman numeral 7D, recommend the board approve an additional fourth grade teacher, huge, position for the 2023-2024 school year. Do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Valerie, would you call the roll?
Yes. Mrs. Iser?
Yes.
Mr. Rudd?
Yes.
Mr. Skidmore?
Yes.
Okay, now Roman numeral 7E, recommend the board approve continued membership in the Ohio High School Athletic Association for 2023-2024. Someone make a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Valerie, would you call the roll?
Yes. Mrs. Iser?
Yes.
Mr. Rudd?
Yes.
Mr. Skidmore?
Yes.
Roman numeral 7F, recommend the board approve the early graduation of Jamie Gibson, who has met all graduation requirements. Do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I just, real quick, would it be possible for, we always have, not always, but we have several of these kids that graduate early. Would it be possible to invite them when we approve their early graduation requirements? I just think it's a really cool
Sure.
thing for them to, if that's
They
appropriate.
still walk during graduation, don't they? They have a choice.
They have the choice, yeah. A lot of them typically don't, just because
Yeah.
they're doing this to be done. But
If they would be interested, I'd love to just,
Yeah.
good job.
We can always ask.
That's a good idea.
Yep.
Thank you.
My comment is congratulations, Jamie. Valerie, would you call the roll?
Mrs. Iser?
Yes.
Mr. Rudd?
Yes.
Mr. Skidmore?
Yes.
Roman numeral 8, superintendent's comments.
Basically, I want to thank the athletic boosters for the generous donation to the football field. That's going to help a lot. I'd like to thank Tom Young for coming and having a presentation of the accommodations for our tennis team and football team. I'd like to congratulate Spencer for receiving a recipient of the highest school board training award. There are only 29 board members in the state of Ohio out of 3,400 who received that award. She will be getting her award at the Southwest Region Conference March 9th. Congratulations. And then I'd like to congratulate the boys swimming team for qualifying for the district competition.
Roman numeral 9, board member comments on the start. We'll go this way. Great to see everybody here tonight recognizing the kids' accomplishments. Looking forward to what the rest of the school year has in store. I'm really happy with the decisions that we were able to make on a personnel basis tonight. I'm really excited about the future. And so this was a good meeting, Bob.
On the new curriculum, I'm a history buff, so I like some of the new electives that are going to be available. I think that's great. I also would like to thank the Valley View Booster Club this is another donation in the year that I've been on the board, but they've donated hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years, and they're just a fantastic group. And I'm also looking forward to the musical, which is just a little over a week away.
Yes, I just want to thank everybody that came and presented to us today. I thought it was really great information, and I'm really, really looking forward to all of you that are in charge of it and have all of those acronyms memorized that I don't happen to know anything about. I want to apologize to Ms. Schmidt for having to hire another fourth grade teaching position because 2 of those fourth graders are my fault. I promise not to adopt any more fourth graders. But no, I really appreciate everybody who came and is working so hard in the community as well as alongside the board to get things done. And I'm looking very much forward to getting this building project up and off the ground. Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you to everyone that came out tonight, the Performing Arts Committee again. I think it's really important what you guys are doing, and I'm excited to see the future of it. The literacy coordinators, I know it's really important to start from an early basis to get those kids on the right track so we don't have to fix it later. So I appreciate that. And then another thing that I really appreciated tonight was Mr. McKee's presentation about the Ingenuity program. I'm in the same position where I'm taking 12th grade English as a junior, so like next year I don't really know what that holds for me. So I think this is a really good opportunity for students to really broaden their classes past what we offer here, like in person. And then if people already know what they want to do in the future, I think it's also really cool that we can start taking classes to help us get towards that goal that we have, which I think is awesome. So thank you for that.
Roman numeral 10, adjournment. Would someone like to make a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Valerie, would you call the roll?
Yes. Mrs. Iser?
Yes.
Mr. Reddick?
Yes.
Mr. Skidmore?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.